from a media buying scope on digital, there are two primary objectives that any brand looks at, right? That is, one is being brand building. The second is performance. Coming to the scope that digital media offering has. So this is what the entire landscape looks like in terms of what you can buy on digital. So there are direct buys that you can do. So everyone here is well aware of, let's say, Times of India. Now, if I were to do, I would that this is the traditional way of buying media on digital. Let's say I go to a Times of India and I tell them that I want to have a roadblock on your website, or I go to a Times of India and tell them that I want a page insert on their newspaper. That's a large format buy, which is like site takeovers, roadblocks. So if you actually ever go to timesofIndia.com and open the website, you'd see a roadblock which comes before the content of Times of India. That's a direct buy. And also there are support banners on the entire website, which is bought on CPM, that is cost per 1,000 impressions. There are different types of buys within that. We'll not delve a lot deeper into this so that I don't really confuse you guys. So standard buys. Then there are brand solutions. So let's say, for example, a Hotstar is coming up with an IPL, is gonna host IPL soon, right? So we can, as a brand, speak to Hotstar and get a sponsorship of IPL on digital. Then content marketing. For example, if I am a e-commerce brand, right, which is catering more to women, and women generally consume a lot of content on, let's say, a Vogue.com or iDiva.com, I can have pegs of content placed on iDiva or Vogue, and from a paid perspective, so that I reach out to the right audience and the right communication happens. Paid social, which is basically Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, etc. They serve both. There's a thin line here. They do both branding and performance objectives. We'll come to why paid social is actually in the center, but from a performance perspective, they deliver performance, and from a brand perspective, they also deliver brand because of the huge creative landscape that they have to offer, and even from the reach perspective. Search engine marketing, the most important here is basically everybody who's searching. So for example, if I were to buy a phone, right, the first thing I'd do is I'd go to Google and say buy iPhone in India. That gives me an ad which takes me directly to the most relevant website who can actually facilitate what I'm trying to do. So that's intent marketing. So search engine marketing. Then programmatic. Programmatic is all about reaching to the right people at the right time across wherever they are on the internet. So that's programmatic for you, which generally drives a lot of performance, but how it is looked at is a different ball game altogether. So coming back to the question, how digital media is bought, it's audience-led, first thing. So I can either buy intent or audience or placement. What is intent? Intent, coming back to the conversation, intent is search engine marketing, for example, or app store. If I'm looking for something and I want to facilitate a direct purchase or direct action, that is intent. I, as a user, I'm typing in buy iPhone. So that's intent. Audience. So we all have affinities to consume certain things on digital or otherwise, right? So I may consume a lot of business news. So if I were to target someone on, let's say, Facebook, I would put in business as an interest, for example, and that's how audience is bought. So people who are on social, maybe, and consuming different stuff, which is consuming, let's say, funny videos, etc., but are also consuming business stuff on the internet, will again is what we can buy. Placement is now going back to, let's say, a Times of India or an iDiva and telling them this is what I want to do. I want to buy a roadblock on the website, so that's placement. So actually, I did not factor in for the part where this session is going to be a monologue for the first 35 minutes. That's the reason I put this trivia here. But I'm going to skip this and just recapping intent, which is search engine app store. It drives me clicks, conversions, and basically performance. From an audience standpoint, we look at, let's say, a Facebook or Google network scheme of things, or programmatic, where I am basically buying audience. I'm not buying where the ad will be shown. I'm just making sure that I am reaching out to the person who has the most affinity towards what interest is core to me. That is basically bought on auction buys. So as an advertiser, I would bid. So let's say a 25 to 44-year-old male is my TG, right? So I will be bidding for that particular audience. And similarly, there will be multiple advertisers will be bidding for the same audience. So the highest bid works, the most relevant bid works, will show the ad first. Placement, websites like Times of India, Yahoo Fixed, I can buy a YouTube masthead for one day. These are one day buys. These are bought on impressions, etc.